Via the New York Post, this from Aaron Glenn, the brand new head coach of the New York Jets. It's a process, and I've talked to our staff about this. I'm not here to talk about the playoffs. I'm not here to talk about the Super Bowl when the players first get in. To me, it's the process of actually making it that point. The two things I want to make sure we do first and foremost is establish the culture that we've been talking about and try to create a building environment. So he would like to establish a culture with the New York Jets. And
It's the right response. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That is, if you're going to come out and you're going to say something that moves the needle, moves the dial, that is the right thing to say. Now, whether that is doable or not, I don't know. But that is the right thing to say.
What makes
Has every coach ever who's taken over a job talked about implementing their own culture? Like, isn't that always what you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I don't know that they say it in that way. Like, in the way that he said it, like, let's not worry about talking about winning a Super Bowl or all this stuff. Let's just first focus in on what the environment of the building is and what the culture of this team is going to be. Like, yeah, coaches do talk about bringing their culture and their brand of ball, but I just feel like in listening to what he had to say and reading what he had to say, knowing Aaron Glenn, I felt where he was coming from. It's the right thing to say, and it's the right approach to take. Like, this team can go a lot of different directions from here, and if they're going to go up, it's got to start with changing the culture in which the building is currently running under.
Well, it has to start with the ownership group, though. Oof. Like, you can't change the culture of any organization, of any company, of anything.
You're right.
If at the very top, they're not willing to admit you got a problem. Like, we've got a culture issue.
You're right.
And that's part of the issue. If you look at Woody Johnson and you look at, I mean, some of the comments he's made, and I'll let you play that out because there's some belly slappers. Like, there's some laughers in there. Aaron Glenn's coming from an organization with the Ford family that realized we needed to bring someone in who could change up our culture. Like, that's what Detroit was. That's what they had been for so long. And Aaron Glenn was able to be there and be a part of a lot of that change and witnessing a lot of that change and how it works. So I said when they made the hire at the time, I was like, this could be the perfect timing for someone like Aaron Glenn because of his experience and what it was just leaving. I mean, as much as people want to look at the New York Jets and try to call them a laughing stock in some ways for how they've operated, the Lions weren't too far from that, too. I mean, the Jets have never had an 0-16, 0-17 season. The Lions have. You know, they've had dudes run out of the back of the end zone, like 3 yards deep, not knowing where the hell they're at. I mean, yes, the Jets have the infamous butt fumble, but it's not, I would say that running out of the back of the end zone is worse. So I'm saying, like, you have those low marks that are unforgettable. And that's where you look at Aaron Glenn and say, okay, he's been there. He's witnessed some of those things take place, and now he's able to say, this is how you fix it. But, I mean, the whole preaching of culture, it's no different. Like, every coach comes in, tries to change the culture, tries to implement his own culture. The reality is he's got to be able to persuade and influence and make sure ownership understands they have a problem. There's, like, loved ones, there's people in our lives, there's people we know that sometimes you're witnessing something, you're like, they have a problem and they don't know it. Like, no one's brought it to their attention or no one's wanted to bring it to their attention. And they're never going to be able to fix what their issue is until they're able to admit it, until they're able to actually say, like, yeah, I need to change this in my life. Otherwise, I'm going down a bad path. I'm never going to be as successful as I want to be, or I'm wasting some of my talent. Like, that's the Jets. And so hopefully Aaron Glenn can find a way of influencing Woody Johnson, understand, like, if you really want to change the culture, it starts up top. It starts with how Woody Johnson does things. And then it goes on down from there.
Yeah, get the hell out of the way. I mean, that's all you really got to do. He doesn't have to change who he is. Just get the hell out of the way.
But maybe,
maybe he does in some ways. Maybe there are some changes he needs to make. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, that change could be just getting away.
The Lions turnaround.
Let them do the job.
The Lions turnaround started with the front office saying, we need help. And that's when they brought in all those former players.
Spielman.
All those guys. And it was like, let's repair the relationships we had that had gone sour with Barry Sanders.
But when you say we do those things, again, you're talking about like there's the product on the field, it's the players, but there's also what Q is mentioning is the environment that's created by the ownership, by the decision makers. So to me, those are two separate conversations. When you're talking about the culture that's created by the ownership, that if that owner is around and he's creating an environment that's toxic to the workers there, not just the players on the field, but everybody that's there, you're not going to ever overcome that. You're not. So I'm saying you don't have to change as a person, because more often than not, I mean, somebody like Woody Johnson's probably way too old to change the essence of who he is as a person. Just step away. Just the reality of it is that you just step away and let them run the business. Don't be standing over top of them. Don't be doing things where you're undermining and superseding people's authority within the building. Let them build the culture void of your influence. That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, it's we could easily say, oh, well, Woody can change and he can be this way and he can handle things this way. And if he changes that and this, that, there's so many what ifs in that. And he might not even know, he's successful. So he might not even know how to make those changes. It's like he's gotten to where he is for a reason. He's able to buy that team for a reason. Strong chances are he's not going to change. The owners that we've seen in the past, they don't change. They lose their teams. That's what they do, or their teams continue to lose. But they don't change. So if you don't have to change, just step away. Give them – Aaron Glenn comes in and says that. He's basically issuing you, not anybody else. He's issuing Woody Johnson a direct challenge through the media that just step away and allow for this culture and this environment, the building, to be built up the right way. You want to be around? Have a different building. Have an ownership building. Have a high up corporate, entities building. Y'all be over here. That's one of the things they did in D.C. They separated things. And good for them. Because you don't need to have all of that act like they have full access. But you don't need to be leveraging what you own like, oh, I'm going to be constantly around, standing over top of the employees and doing this and doing that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that because you have authoritative figures that are in place in each one of the areas, whether it be the media, whether it be advertising and sales, whether it be scouting, whether it be the players, whether it be the coaches. You have people who are in charge. Let them do their jobs. You see it playing out in Dallas every single year. Every year. It's never going to change. Jerry Jones, the Jones family, they're going to run that team the way they run their team. That culture, the way it is, it's never going to change while they're in position. That's a lot of these teams. It's never going to change. So if I'm Aaron Glenn, I think he handled it the right way by issuing that piece of information so that Woody Johnson can receive that information, know that this is what it is, and I'm personally challenging you, the owner, whether it's you changing your ways and being positive in the environment and not meddling in things and undermining things, or just get the hell away. Whichever one it is, make that decision so that we can try to start building the culture of the team.
And the challenge was accepted by Woody Johnson, who spoke about Justin Fields as quarterback and said, quote, "I think Justin Fields is going to be a total winner for us. I've been impressed with him since his college days. It was him or Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's going to be really good," which is great, except for the fact that if it was him or Trevor Lawrence, why did they take Zach Wilson over him in the draft when they had the chance? You know what I mean? Like, Aaron Glenn's got no shot. Nobody does. We've got 25 years of a sample
So that's what
size.
the setup of this segment was for, to basically say Aaron Glenn he's doomed already.
Aaron Glenn, Robert Saleh, all these guys have all had the right thought. Like the right, listen, we're doing it for all the right reasons. Like we go back to this point, like Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick are two of the greatest coaches of all time. And both of them said, yeah, we're good here. And that was early, before we had any sort of intel on this. I just have no faith. And what's most stunning about this whole thing is that the one guy who was swimming against the notion that the Jets could figure something out and have a positive outlook and a positive season with Aaron Rodgers there and all that, the one guy who was pounding the table for it's the Jets, their dysfunction, was LaVar Arrington. And yet, a year later, now you're saying there's hope with New York.
I didn't say there's hope. I didn't say there's hope.
What happened?
What do you mean?
You were the one that was most negative about
I
the
said
Jets.
Aaron Glenn said the right things.
And Brady and I are like, all right, we want a smoke of that. Like, hand that over.
I'm not going to smoke when y'all smoking. I'm going to do it on my own, Smokey. I'm sharing this. You ain't put in on this, man.
He got no shot, man.
You could be right. But he's saying the right things. I mean, at the end of the day, just like an ownership, like Woody Johnson saying that about Justin Fields gives him the ability to be like, it wasn't me. This guy was good. I said he was good. He was good. We saw him on the Madden ratings. We thought he was good. We think that he should have a great career for the New York Jets. He didn't. It's not my fault.
That's the type of leadership you want out of an owner. That's the leadership you want. You want the guy who's going to point the finger and say, hey, man, I didn't make the pick.
Like, just even the owner saying that. Like, why are you saying that? Stay out of it. Just say the same exact thing.
Can't help it.
Say the same exact thing your coach is saying. We're going to fix this culture. Like, I'm all the way in with Aaron Glenn. He played for this team. I'm all the way in with what his message is. Say that. You're talking about something. Justin Fields should be good for us. Like, he hasn't been good in the league yet.
Yeah.
And neither has Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Why is he going to catch a stray?
I don't know. He threw him in there. You're talking about two dudes that haven't taken their team nowhere. They made it to the playoffs.
That's not true.
He made the playoffs.
If you guys
that's nowhere.
If you guys owned,
he ain't went nowhere.
If you guys owned a professional team, would you meddle?
No.
Would you get involved?
What?
I'd be super positive.
Okay, but would you try and hey, what are we doing here?
No.
If you own the team?
No, you hire people to do I wonder what he does with the other companies that he's got that gets Johnson & Johnson, right? I wonder what he does with the baby oil. Does he got a situation with Diddy? What, too soon? Was it too soon? Was it too soon for that?
I mean, it's one of his best customers.
I mean, you do know Lawrence won that game, right?
I don't care.
I'm just saying he's done more than Fields has.
Trevor, that's not a great comp.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not great comping them.
You can't say he hasn't done anything.
I'm not great comping them. I'm not. They're not. They're average quarterbacks to me. One is average. One is teetering on the. He could go below the level of average. I'm not budging on that one. I believe that so far, Trevor Lawrence's career has been a disappointment. Sorry. And if you're saying, well, it was between, I think he's going to be great here for us. It was between Trevor Lawrence, and if it wasn't Trevor Lawrence, it was Justin Fields. I'm looking at both of them, and it's like neither one of them is changing my franchises, their chances of being an elite franchise. Not the guy I'm looking at today. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry if that's offensive.
The tough part about this conversation is, Dak's only got 2 playoff wins in his career, right?
Add him to the list.
Oh,
Kirk Cousins has 1.
Add him to the list.
Oh my God.
I'm saying if you start going through that list,
add him to the list.
It is an accomplishment, though, if you're part of a bad organization to get there and actually win one.
I'm sympathetic to being in a horrible situation, and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields going to Chicago. Yeah. I understand that. I do. But with that being said, none of those names you just said fall outside. I put Dak Prescott and freaking Kirk Cousins in level what? They're like C-list celebrities.
Oh my gosh.
Be at the best, like flirting with B-list.
Disgusting.
Sorry, somebody got to keep it real. I wouldn't even mention Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson hasn't even done what he needs to do, but at least he wins league MVPs. He wins league MVPs. Josh Allen hasn't done what he needs to do, but at least he won a league MVP finally. And we're not even going to go there with Patrick Mahomes. We're not. I'm not even going to go there with Patrick Mahomes. I look at guys like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't even begin to put them in the conversation with the upper echelons quarterbacks that are in the league right now. They're not even in the same conversation. So if you're bringing him in to be the starter of your team, and you already got one as the starter of your team, and this is where they're at this point in their career, good luck.
Here's the point that I think makes the most sense is it's interesting that Woody Johnson talks about these other quarterbacks in that draft class because he kind of skips over the fact that he drafted Zach Wilson then. But it's interesting that he brings them up because they were drafted, as you pointed out, to dysfunctional organizations, which it wouldn't have made any difference probably where those guys went because they're going to such bad places. They're probably all going to struggle. And that's kind of the delusional part. Is to think that like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields
is going to come fix your
they're going to fix it. Like that's the wrong way. It's one of the reasons why, again, so this is why I go to when you hear Aaron Glenn say what he's saying, I go, well, this is the same thing that every coach says. And the reality is if he can't convince Woody Johnson that it's a you problem, it's a your ownership, the way you run things, your culture, your presence, like it's a you problem. If he can't convince him of that. And it doesn't sound like Woody Johnson understands that based on his comments because he keeps thinking like, oh, we're just going to wait for Patrick Mahomes to come along. All right, good luck. I'll see you in the next 20 years. 30, and that guy comes along once in a lifetime. Tom Brady comes along once in a lifetime. And by the way,
drafted one of those two, it would not work. Period. You don't get that guy there.
And look, maybe not. And all I'm saying is, and by the way, everyone got Tom Brady wrong because everyone had a chance of drafting him for the first 6 rounds. Even the Patriots, who drafted someone before him. Everyone wants to act like, Scott Pioli and everyone's like, oh, we figured it. It's like, no, you took him in the 6th round. He was your second pick in that round. If you thought so highly of him, why didn't you take him in the 1st round?
Yeah.
So the reality is Woody Johnson still doesn't seem to understand that it's going to take more than just bringing in that sort of talent anyway. It's still a team sport, still a team game. It's one of the reasons why I do tend to think that, like, when you're poo-pooing Trevor Lawrence so far, he's done a lot in an organization that really has not been good.
I'm sympathetic to that.
He's like the Jets. Really the Jets would have killed to have a winning season, a playoff run where you actually won a playoff game, in like with Trevor Lawrence or in that time period. They would have killed to have that.
I don't disagree.
That's not the case, obviously.
Not the case. No. It's sad that it falls on the players so often, but it is what it is.